All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with lesson 15. Please follow along with some notes, okay? And try to follow along carefully. Pay attention. If you get confused, rewatch the video or send me some questions, okay? Lesson 15 tells us I can associate the ordered pair with each ratio and plot it in the XY coordinate plane. Okay, remember, ordered pairs, okay? If I have a ratio, say I have 1 to 3, and I make a ratio table, okay? I have 1 to 3, 2 to 6, and 3 to 9. And it's asking me to make ordered pairs from that table to plot on a coordinate plane. Okay, remember the coordinate plane is the graph with numbers, okay? So the ordered pairs, the first number in the ratio is X, the second number of the ratio is Y. Okay, so my ordered pair would look like this. Remember, ordered pairs are always in parentheses and separated by a comma. Okay, my second one would be like this, 2 to 6, and 3 and 9. Okay, I can remember the horizontal axis on the graph is the x-axis, the vertical up and down is the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to label my graph 3, 6, 9, and then I can plot these ordered pairs. Okay, each ordered pair represents a point on the graph. Go over to 1, up to 3, go over to 2, up to 6, go over to 3, up to 9. Okay, we're going to go get into this a little more in depth, so please follow along. So we will complete exercises 1 through 7 of the exploratory challenge together. Okay, so I'm going to read this passage, and we are going to complete some problems dealing with this passage. Okay, so listen carefully. At the end of this morning's news segment, the local television station highlighted area pets that needed to be adopted. The station posted a specific website on the screen for viewers to find more information on the pets shown and the adoption process. The station producer checked the website 2 hours after the end of the broadcast and saw the website had 24 views. 1 hour after that, the website had 36 views. Okay, so from this passage, what ratio can we come up with? Okay, well, I highlighted 2 hours and 24 views. So my ratio would be 2 to 24. They also said 1 hour after that, the website had 36 views, so that would be 3 to 36. So looking at these two ratios, what would be the reduced ratio, the smallest ratio? It would be 1 to 12. Okay, we need to figure out how many views they had in 1 hour. Well, if they had 24 in 2 hours, in 1 hour they're going to have 12. Okay, so write down 1 to 12 somewhere and keep that in mind, okay? Exercise 1 says create a table to determine how many views the website probably had 1 hour after the end of the broadcast based on how many views it had 2 and 3 hours after the end of the broadcast. Using this relationship, predict how many views the website will have 4 or 5 and 6 hours after the end of the broadcast. So I'm going to make a table. And I'm going to list my ratios, okay? Remember, it was hours to views, and our first ratio was 1 to 12, okay? I want you to copy this down somewhere, all right, and complete the ratio all the way to 6 hours. Okay, pause the video, do that very quickly. All right, you should have paused the video and completed the table, and this is what it should look like. 1 to 12 views, 1 hour to 12 views, 2 hours to 24 views, 3 hours to 36 views, 4 hours to 48 views, and 5 hours to 60 views, and lastly, 6 hours to 72 views. Okay, so we figured out how many views they had in 1 hour. And then it asked us for 4, 5, 6 hours after the end of the broadcast, and we figured that out as well. Okay? Good. So looking at this table real quick, what is the relationship between hours and views? What do you have to do to the number of hours to get the number of views? We have to multiply by 12. Okay, it doesn't matter what number is in the hours place, okay? You have to multiply the number in the hours column by 12 to get the number of views, okay? So, what is the constant number C that makes these ratios equivalent? Well, it's 12 because that's what you have to multiply by. You have to multiply the hours by to get the views, okay? And now, using an equation, represent the relationship between the number of views, V, the website received, and the hours, H, after the morning's new broadcast. So this goes back to last week when we were talking about equations, ratio equations, okay? What do we have to do to hours to get the number of views? Well, you have to multiply hours by 12, okay? So this would be V equals 12H. Okay, it doesn't matter what number is in the H column. Okay, you're always going to multiply it by 12 to get the number of views. Okay, let's move on. So it says, use the table created in exercise 1 to identify sets of ordered pairs that can be graphed. Okay, if you didn't copy this down, copy it down right now, pause the video. Okay, copy this down real quick because we're going to make ordered pairs from it. Okay, so you should have copied it down. Okay, we're going to make ordered pairs from that table. We look at the first row of our table, okay, at the top, and we have 1 and 12. Well, that's going to be my first ordered pair. So I'm going to have 1, 12 in parentheses. Okay, and that's going to be my first point on the graph. Then I'm going to have 2 to 24, 3 to 36, 4 to 48, 5 to 60, and 6 to 72. Okay, so those are my ordered pairs. All right, guys, exercise 4 says use the ordered pairs you created to depict the relationship between hours and numbers of views on a coordinate plane. Label your axis and create a title for your graph. Do the points you plotted lie on a line? If so, draw the line through the points. Okay, so when we plot these points, they should draw a straight line and a slope. Okay, remember the horizontal axis is the x-axis, the vertical is the y. When we make an ordered pair, the first number is x, the second number is y. Okay, so we have our ordered pairs here that we're going to plot on the graph. Okay, our biggest numbers 6 and 72. Okay, so we have to, on the horizontal axis, we have to make it go up to at least 6, and on the vertical axis, we have to make it go up at least to 72. So what I'm going to do, since I have enough space at the bottom, okay, I'm going to skip one line and go 1. Skip a line, go 2. Skip a line 3. Skip a line 4. Skip a line 5. Skip a line 6. I'm just going to write 7, 8, just in case, okay? Now, there's not 72 lines, so we can't count each line as 1, and we can't skip a line either. Okay, so what I'm going to do, okay, to take advantage of the whole graph is I'm going to count each line as 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, 52, 56, 60, 64, 68, 72, and that's the highest I needed to go, but I'm just going to go all the way to the top, okay? So now, we have our graph labeled, Okay, remember the X is the number of hours, okay, and the Y is the number of views. So I'm going to label that. This is hours, this is views, okay. So my first ordered pair is 1 to 12, okay. So I'm going to go over to 1 up to 12 and plot my points. My next one is 2 to 24. Okay, I'm going to go over to 2 up to 24. My next one is 3 to 36. Okay, I'll go over to 3 up to 36. Then I have 4 to 48. Go over to 4 up to 48. Then I have 5 to 60. Go over to 5 up to 60. And then I have 6 to 72. Go over to 6 and then up to 72. Okay? Does my graph or do my points make a straight line? They do. Okay? A straight slope. So that means we are correct. Okay? If your points do not make a straight line, then you plotted something incorrectly. Okay? It's up to you how you want to label your graph, how you want to count up. Okay, we could have counted up by 12s, but then 72 would have been somewhere right here, and your graph would have looked something like this. Okay, but that's okay. I mean, it's not wrong. I just wanted to take advantage of the full graph, so I counted up by 4s. Okay, let's move on. So it says, predict how many views the website will have after 12 hours. Use at least 2 representations to justify your answer. Okay, well, if we just extended our table, okay, and we made a 12th row, okay, I'm just going to make a 1 row. If I had 12 hours, okay, and remember our rule was multiply H by 12, okay, we would figure out 12 times 12, and that would be 144. Okay, so we can remember our rules and just figure out what we have to multiply hours by to get the number of views. Okay, we can also make a tape diagram. Okay, 1 with 1. One with 12, remember our ratio was 1 to 12, okay? But if there's 12 hours, okay, that means 12 has to go in each unit. So if there's 12 hours, there's going to be 144 views. Okay, another thing that we can do, if we have 1 to 12, and we know the number of hours, which is the first number in our ratio, okay? We don't know the second number, but we know the first. So what do you have to do to 1 to get 12? Well, you multiply by 12. Now you have to multiply 12 by 12, and you get 144. Okay, there's multiple ways to do this. Pick the one that you feel more comfortable with. Okay, as long as you get the correct answer and you show work, you're going to be fine. All right, let's move on. Also on the news broadcast, a chef from a local Italian restaurant demonstrated how he makes fresh pasta daily for his restaurant. The recipe for his pasta is below. Okay, so his recipe's right there. 3 eggs, 1 tablespoon salt, or 1 teaspoon salt, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons water, and 2 tablespoons vegetable oil. It says determine the ratio of tablespoons of water to number of eggs. Okay, so tablespoons of water to eggs. Okay, this would be 2 to 3. Okay, so keep 2 to 3 in mind. So now, provided the information in the table below, complete the table to determine ordered pairs. Use the ordered pairs to graph the relationship of the number of tablespoons of water to the number of eggs. Well, our ratio was 2 to 3. So I'm just going to count up 2 to 3, 4 to 6, 6 to 9, 8 to 12, 10 to 15, and 12 to 18. Okay, the tablespoons of water is counting up by 2s. The number of eggs is counting up by 3s. Okay, so I'm going to make my ordered pairs real quick. My first one's 2 to 3, then 4 to 6, then 6 to 9, 8 to 12, 10 to 15, and 12 to 18. Okay? Now I have to label my graph. Okay, remember this is pasta recipe. Okay, we can title our graph if we want. Remember this is the x-axis, it's horizontal, and this is going to represent water. The vertical is the y, and this is going to represent eggs. Okay, and I am going to label, I'm going to count by 2, so I'm going to skip a line and write 2, skip a line 4, skip a line 6, skip a line 8, skip a line 10, and skip a line 12. Okay? And then counting up, I'm going to count by 3, so I'm going to count 3 lines. 1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 9. 1, 2, 3, 12. 1, 2, 3, 15. 1, 2, 3, 18. Okay, so I didn't write every single number. Okay, I just wrote the numbers that I needed, okay, because those are the numbers that I have on my table and my ordered pairs. Okay, so now let's plot these points. Okay, our first ordered pair is 2 to 3, so I'm going to go over to 2 up to 3. Then I have 4 to 6, over to 4, up to 6. Then I have 6 to 9, over to 6, up to 9. Then I have 8 to 12, over to 8, up to 12. Okay. Then I have 10 to 15, over to 10, up to 15. And then 12 to 18. Okay, is my slope in a straight line? It is, so everything must be correct. Okay. And we are done. Now, what would you have to do to the graph in order to find how many eggs would be needed if the recipe was larger and called for 16 tablespoons of water? Well, if we had 16 tablespoons of water, it would be right here. And our point would be somewhere all the way up here off the graph. Okay, so we would have to extend the graph. Okay, how many eggs would be needed if the recipe called for 16 tablespoons of water? Well, I'm just going to add 2 more rows to my table. Okay. 14 to 21, 16 to 24. 24 is our answer. 24 eggs. All right, guys. Exercise 7 says, determine how many tablespoons of water would be needed if the chef is making a large batch of pasta and the recipe increases to 36 eggs. So he needs a recipe with 36 eggs. So I need to figure out how many tablespoons of water we're going to need. Support your reasoning using at least one diagram you find applies best to the situation. So I'm going to use a tape diagram. Remember our original ratio was 2 to 3. Okay, 2 being tablespoons of water, okay, and 3 being eggs. Remember, they told us there are 36 eggs, so these 3 units represent 36 eggs. So what's going to go in each unit if there's 3 units? 12. Okay, so 12 is going to have to go in each of the water's units. Now we can see how many tablespoons of water there are. There's going to be 24, and that is our answer. Okay, another thing you can do is 2 to 3. Okay, we know the number of eggs, so we don't know the first number because that's the water, but we know the second number, which is 36. What do you have to do to 3 to get 36. You multiply by 12, so you have to multiply 2 times 12 to get 24. Okay? Whatever you find easiest, please do, guys. That's why I give you many options, like a table, tape diagrams, okay, the relationship model right here. Okay, whatever you think best applies, use it. Okay? Lesson summary. There are several ways that we can represent the same collection of equivalent ratios. These include ratio tables, tape diagrams, double number lines, equations, and graphs on the coordinate plane. Guys, most of the hardest part is just labeling your graph and correctly counting up on the y and the x-axis. Okay, so just be careful there. You're gonna get an exit ticket with this lesson. Okay, try your best on it. You should be able to do it on your own. Rewatch the video and how I do the graphs if you need help. Okay, have a great day, and I will see you later.